Hey guys, welcome back. We've got the Black Widow Mustang that you guys would have seen a few episodes ago that we were getting running and going nicely. Now, this is actually in for a brake job. The customer is, I think, is growing a bit more confident with it, and he's starting to feel the lack of brakes in it. This is a drum car, like drums all round. It's a manual, single bowl master cylinder, so it's the bare bones basics for brakes. And it's got the twin 4 barrels, small block with 5-speed, and so the car scoots along pretty good. But the brakes are just what it was, set up for 190 horse, 289 back in the day. So we're going to do an upgrade on it. Now, this is the kit we're using. It's the same as the one we put on the green Mustang we're working on, that we did a video on a couple of days ago. So this is the kit off the car. We got, that's your rear vented rotors. You got the front vented rotors. It comes with the hubs and new bearings, everything in it. It comes with a dust shield for the back, keep stones, rocks, whatever out of there. It has nice 4-piston calipers on the front, all loaded with pads, ready to go. So that is a copy of the factory 4-piston calipers they put on these cars back in the day. So that's a very competent, proven unit. It's a little heavy compared to some of the aluminum calipers, but it gets the job done. We're going to upgrade to a tandem master, say instead of the single bowl that it has. It comes with e-brake cables, you've got new rubber lines, you've got balance, rear bias device there. All the brackets come to convert it from drum to disc. You've got a new booster. All the bracketry you're needing is all laser cut by the look of it. You've got everything you need in this kit, so it's quite nice, and it's going to be a good upgrade. It's not a super expensive kit. It's not the cheapest out there either, but yeah, it's probably about half of what a well-spec Willwood kit would be. So he's saving some money, because he doesn't want to go a million mile an hour everywhere, but he wants it to stop when he gets on it instead of having to, with 1 foot instead of having to use 2 feet to get it to slow down. So we're going to get this up in the air, blow it apart, and do a little bit more of a step-by-step on this installation with you, rather than just showing you the finished product. You can see what we go through, what's required, and back in a moment. Okay, obviously she's on the rack. We've got the drum off. That's pretty straightforward stuff. There's 4 bolts hold this whole backing plate assembly. We just leave it together. There's no real reason. There were 4 bolts here. There's no real reason to disassemble all the drum. So we just give that a yank off. We just cut the old hoses. I mean, they're perished anyway. You're never going to reuse those. So what we'll do is we'll clean this back, this area behind where the drum backing plate used to go. Make sure that's nice and clean, so that when we bolt the bracket on there for the caliper, it's not riding on any little piece of dirt or something. It's amazing. You get 5 or 10 thousandths thick piece of dirt or rust scale on the back here, it'll tweak the caliper bracket, and it'll just it sort of expands out. 10 thou here is 30 thou out here, and it can cause you issues. So you do really need to get that nice and clean. So we're going to do that. Start putting the brackets on. Okay, so we got this all nice and clean now. Your caliper bracket goes on here. Now here's a little trick. It took us a moment. We struck this on a kit we did once before. On the back here, it's got L, presumably for left. On the other side, it's got R, presumably for right. The trick is, the left one goes on the right side, and the right side goes on the left side. So that caused a little bit of head scratching the first time we struck this, but it's definitely cast wrong. The left does go on the right side, and the right side does go on the left side. So that's got to go on there. You have your dust shield here. It's going to go over there. And they give you all the nice new grade 8 bolts. Get them in. Now, one of them is longer, and it's this bottom corner where the steering arm is, because there's a little bit more material because of the steering arm being there. So, but honestly, you can't really get that wrong. That goes in there. Right. Now, one thing they do mention in the instructions, when your caliper goes in here, sometimes it's a little tight here, and you have to take like about a 1/4 inch kind of pie cut just through here. And yeah, we've struck it before where you do, and we've struck it where you don't. So not a big deal. Just get yourself a little bit of little tin snips or a cut-off wheel grinder, and just buzz that off. That'll let you get the caliper on. They've got these nice self-locking nuts that'll go in here, and get those tight. There's a torque spec. I think it's 35 or 45 foot-pounds. Do use a torque wrench on them. You don't want this shit coming loose. So I'm going to get these buttoned down, get them torqued up, and then we can throw the rotors on them. So here's the caliper. It fits in. Obviously we've still got to put the rotor on yet, but just eyeballing that up, it's touching the backing plate just up here. It'll almost go probably, but you really do need a little bit of clearance. So we'll just do that. As I was saying, just a cut-off wheel or a pair of tin snips, and there you go. Just get rid of any burrs. Now, we'll probably just put a little bit of paint on there, just hit it with a little bit of silver paint, stop that corroding, because they are nicely zinc coated. And that will now fit in there, and we've got generous room. That's going to give us, my head out of the way, probably an 1/8 of an inch clearance. So that's that done. Ready for the next stage. Okay, so we have to get the rotor. The rotor comes with the outer bearing races pressed into them, but you have options for the inner race. Now, when you open the kit up, you'll find that there's 8 wheel bearings in there. You need 4 for the kit. Now, they didn't accidentally give you an extra set. These are different sizes. These are the 2 sets, and the outer's the same, but the inner is different, and I'll try and... The outer one's probably the easy one to show you. That's the right size. It fits on there snug. This one, which, unless they're right side by side, really doesn't look that different till you do that. That will fit in the rotor, and you can tighten it up on there, but you're going to have problems. So check your bearings. Like, literally do a dry fit. Like, slide them on the spindle, make sure you've got the right ones. It becomes very apparent when you've got the wrong one, and throw them away, lose them, do something with them, but just make sure that you have got the right size bearing in there, otherwise things will get ugly. Okay, time to assemble the rotors. We've got to put the bearings in there. Now, if you don't have one of these, I really recommend you get one. They're great. They're not that expensive. They do a wonderful job of greasing the bearings. There's the old school way was to put some grease in the palm of your hand and kind of scrape it like that and try and get it around all the bearings. Somebody came up with this idea. You just drop it down in there. Again, double check you've got the right bearings for your spindle. You take that, you push it in, and you've got to lean on it a bit. Give it a little wiggle. And it's still not quite enough. Like I said, you got to lean on it pretty good. And you'll see in there the grease is starting to come up around the rollers through there. So that's got the grease in all the places you need it. Give it a little wipe around. Put some grease in here, and drop that in. You're ready to go. We're just kind of trying to quicken this up a little bit for you guys. Take your wheel bearing seal. Get yourself something round, the right diameter, or a little square block of wood, something like that. Just tap this in. Don't sort of start at one edge and try and work your way around. That's not going to work. It'll bend the seal. And it needs to go down and in a square fashion. So, like, not getting tweaked one way or the other. So yeah, you can buy special tools for that, or you can just do it, as I say, with a big socket, block of wood, bang that down in there. So we're going to do that boring stuff once we sign off, and going to come back to you with part 2 in another day or so as we continue on this 4-wheel disc brake installation. So meanwhile, you guys have a great night. Hope you get something from the video, and we'll see you tomorrow.